as you know, I was pretty outraged, as was David Seymour when we spoke to him. I was pretty outraged at this $417, I think it was, $1,000 payout to Adrian Orr, who decided to quit as the Reserve Bank governor. But because the governors of the Reserve Bank, when they hired him using your money, they decided to give him this golden parachute for a restraint of trade. I didn't know that there were a lot of other jobs as...
Don't settle for a fake snarler when you can have Beard Brothers' premium range of all-natural sausages. No fillers, no nasty artificial stuff, just meat, herbs and a whole lot of flavour. Perfect for barbecues, weeknight dinners, or any time you want real food that tastes like it should. Proudly New Zealand made, you'll find them fresh in your local Foursquare, New World and Pack and Save. Beard Brothers, crafted with care, the old school way.
Reserve Bank governors going in the country, and I would have thought that he was going to have to shut up about the information he had just under normal law. But no, not only does Adrian Orr get to quit, he gets to quit and get paid for 6 months. He also gets another $412 or $17,000 as a restraint of trade clause, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. I was outraged. You guys were outraged. Also outraged was the Taxpayers Union. The Taxpayers Union, Jordan Williams, joins us now. You're not driving, are you, Jordan? You're in the back seat.
No, I'm not.
Oh, good.
No, I'm not driving.
Okay. Jordan, I talked to David Seymour about this morning. This is the classic outcome when you have someone spending someone else's money on someone else, isn't it?
Yeah, bang on. Look, it just fails the sniff test, us, because there's a couple of things. Number one, there is no such thing as a restraint of trade in the public sector. There is sometimes you negotiate in these very large executive contracts, golden goodbyes, which in principle the Taxpayers Union are against. But this was a settlement. Make no mistake. What Newsroom have, and we sent it to our 200,000 subscribers yesterday, or linked to it, is a settlement. And it includes that payment, but it has the most extraordinary clause, which is that you can't... It's not the bank is saying, it's about confidential information. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, come on. Or everyone that works at Reserve Bank is covered by a non-disclosure clause.
Well, anyone who works for anyone. Anyway, you can't act against your employer and share information or IP that wasn't yours. It's just taken as read, isn't it? You don't have to pay extra for that.
No, and the idea that, to be frank, that Adrian Orr, that any of the major banks are going to pick him up is stupid. I mean, it was them briefing against them about this alleged bullying and yelling at bank executives, and the appearance that it looks like he raised his voice or lost his temper in a meeting with Treasury and or the minister. So the idea that you're so worried that this guy is so good, he could end up working for someone that would trade on bank information is nonsense on stilts, both in the nature of the information held, and two, the simply based on his reputation. What it does contain, though, is the most extraordinary clause that not only can he not disparage his former employer, that's reasonably common in settlements that arise out of an employment dispute. And second, though, is that it says he can't criticise the government or the minister. And it simply fails the sniff test that the minister says she found out about this at the same time as the public, which seems extraordinary. Then why don't you simply say, well, he need not worry about that particular clause? It looks like he's broken it anyway, the agreement, because of course they were going to agree at a time where it was going to be announced. But we know that Adrian Orr surprised the minister and the bank when he did announce that he was leaving. But what it all comes down to, it appears, is what was that settlement fundamentally about? And reading the tea leaves, and this is based on previous media reporting that there was some sort of allegation that the bank was either investigating or threatening to investigate. That's really what this comes down to. Because the payment might have been, this golden parachute might have related to his earlier contract and all that sort of thing. but you wouldn't normally do a settlement or an agreement when you resign from a job.
No, that's the thing that got me. You walk, you get whatever you're bloody given. It was your choice.
And also, it's just, I'm sorry, Sean, but it's just fundamentally dishonest of the bank and of the government to say this was a resignation when there was a settlement. That is not a resignation.
Well, see, that's the thing I don't get. Was there a settlement, or was there, once he resigned, a payment that kicked in as per the terms of his contract if he resigned? Or was this negotiation?
Well, we know there was a settlement. Newsroom have published a partial, or 2 pages of it. There was an agreement.
Given the sums of money involved, given the sensitivity of this position, I think we need an inquiry. I think the public need to know for sure what happened here, don't they?
Well, I think that the bank, which is, the new Reserve Bank governor has said she's committed to transparency. I think that there is some, yet again, and this has just been a slow-moving train crash under Adrian Orr. The reputation of the New Zealand Reserve Bank, which was one of our finest institutions, arguably the best little reserve bank in the world, to borrow the old New Zealand Treasury phrase, is shot. And yet they continue with this, just like we called it gaslighting the other day, because this wasn't a...
Well, I don't think we can trust the bank to investigate itself. I think the Auditor General or the Ombudsman needs to come in to have a look at this, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it seems that in 2025 New Zealand, there is just not the striving for public transparency than there used to be. And a lot of that is bloody privacy law. I mean, I'll give you an example. I looked a few years ago to hire someone out of Boris Johnson's number 10 office, a social media person. I could look up her exact salary to the dollar. Yet in New Zealand, although I can get chief executives' salaries for government agencies, if you work for Auckland Council and you're not the chief executive, you're one below and paid, say, $500,000, $400,000 for the head of marketing at Watercare, they give you a 100K or 50K band and say, oh, look, within that, it's private information. There is a real problem. And in the UK, as I say, you can get it right down to the dollar to even very low staff. There is this weird priority of privacy. And look, we're taxpayer advocates. We say if it's taxpayer money, you ought to know where it's going. Yeah. And what the key thing here is, it appears that let's just step back. It appears that accusations were made about Adrian Orr, and that, we don't know on the scale of seriousness, and we also don't know the real merits of it. And instead of investigating it, presumably with an eye to sacking him, they've sat down and said, well, we won't disparage you. We'll keep it all quiet. You won't disparage
you got to go.
Or us, but you can keep your $416,000 gold and goodbye. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
But it's, for me, and for most fair-minded New Zealanders, what is irritating is the dishonesty from the bank and the political class going along with the dishonesty, that it was simply, it's...
Well, I'm also outraged at the restraint of trade clause in the first place being negotiated back in 2022. I'm sorry. I consider it usurious and ridiculous, and it shouldn't have been allowed.
Don't settle for a fake snarler when you can have Beard Brothers' premium range of all-natural sausages. No fillers, no nasty artificial stuff, just meat, herbs and a whole lot of flavour. Perfect for barbecues, weeknight dinners, or any time you want real food that tastes like it should. Proudly New Zealand made, you'll find them fresh in your local Foursquare, New World and Pack and Save. Beard Brothers, crafted with care the old school way.